Okay, very good day to everyone. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the CPF basics to update everybody on some of the new announcements made by Budget 2024 and the effect that it will have on CPF retirement account, the CPF Life program, as well as give you a certain amount of understanding on how annuities work. All right. So when you reach 55 years old, from next year onwards, the CPF special account will cease to exist. Your funds will either be in the CPF ordinary account, which gives you a fixed 2.5% every year, or the CPF retirement account, which will be invested in annuities. All right. So how does an annuity work? All right. While term life insurance covers you for mortality risk, an annuity actually does the opposite. It insures you for longevity risk. Okay. So what an annuity like CPF Life will do for you is that it provides a fixed payout after the age of 65 for life, so that you'll be less of a burden to your family as well as to society. Okay, and according to the financial planning industry, annuities should take the place of about 50 to 100% of the bond component of your portfolio. And in practice, for the folks who have a net worth above $1 million, this should result in about 20 to 40% of your net worth in annuities or CPF Life. All right. So let's go into some of the details. Okay. All right. So here are the important CPF milestones. At age 55, you can withdraw the excess of your CPF ordinary account, a special account, and maintain at least the full retirement sum in your CPF. All right. So at age 55, your special account will vanish and be replaced by CPF retirement account, and funds up to the FRS, right, which is very, very close to $200,000 in today's dollars, can be committed into the CPF retirement account. All right. Any amount that is excess of this FRS will be parked in your CPF ordinary account. Okay. Now, from the age of 55 to 65, your funds will begin to compound within the CPF retirement account. All right, so CPF ordinary account, it compounds at 2.5%. Okay, and you can withdraw from the CPF ordinary account anytime. All right, but for the CPF retirement account, it will continue to compound at around 4%. Okay, and you get higher rates for the first $60,000 that you have. All right, do note that from the age of 55 to 65, the amounts of money you have in the CPF retirement account cannot be withdrawn. Now, at the age of 65, all right, you can withdraw 20% of your sums in the CPF retirement account, all right, and the remaining amounts will be put into an annuity that will generate monthly income for you for life, all right. So these are the three important CPF milestones, okay. And now what I will do is I will talk a little bit on how annuities work under CPF Life, okay. So you must treat sums that are remaining in your CPF retirement account as premiums paid to an annuity program under CPF Life. Okay, if you opt for the standard or the escalating plan, 100% of your remaining amounts in your CPF retirement account will be used as a premium for this annuity. For the basic plan, amounts paid in premiums are much lower, okay, and you'll be paying between 10 to 20% of the sums that's in your retirement account. Okay, now once these premiums are paid, you will receive an income for life. Okay, an annuity pays out a certain amount every month for the rest of your life, and the amounts that you will receive can be deduced from using the CPF Life estimator. So if you by the time you reach 65 years old, you can use the CPF Life estimator on the CPF website to figure out how much money you can receive on a monthly basis. All right, so you can do that. Right now, it pays off for approximately $1,500 for every $300,000 that you have. All right. Okay, now what happens when you die? When you die, and if you die prematurely, like for example, if you die after 6 payouts, or you receive $9,000 from CPF Life, all right, what would happen is that your beneficiaries will get the amount that you paid as a premium minus off the $9,000 that you have received, or $291,000 in this case. Okay, so this is what happens if you die prematurely before the premium money runs out. All right. Now, if you die after the premium money runs out, what would happen is that your beneficiaries will receive nothing because you've already withdrawn everything from the premium. All right. Now, the upside of all this is that you will receive the amount that is promised to you when you're 65 years old every month for the rest of your life. Okay, in essence, the interest from this premium that everybody pays, okay, will be the ones funding the elderly who outlive their premiums. Okay, and this therefore makes annuities a method to pool the risk of the elderly together. And your mindset towards an annuity is that it is an insurance product and not an investment product. Okay, so you should be more interested in what an annuity can provide for you, okay, rather than to perform a calculation on what your returns from an annuity is going to be. All right, that's the wrong approach to think about an annuity. Okay, so to make CPF Life useful to you, it has to complement a portfolio of stocks or equities, because CPF Life payouts are very bad at fighting off inflation. So you still need to understand investments and put your money in a portfolio of equities and bonds, all right, to make sure that your net worth as well as your monthly income, okay, can rise in tandem with inflation. All right. Okay, now what kind of key CPF Life decisions you need to make? All right, the first question is, how much money do you need to put in? All right, you can put in the basic retirement sum, or about $100,000 in today's money. But in order to do that, you need to pledge a piece of property with the CPF board to be able to withdraw down to this $100,000 in your CPF retirement account. All right. For most people that refuse to pledge a piece of property, the CPF will try to keep about $200,000 of your amount of money, and this is known as the full retirement sum, the FRS. That will be double the basic retirement sum when you reach 55 years old. All right. Now, before the changes in 2025, the current enhanced retirement sum, which I call it the old enhanced retirement sum, is approximately 3 times your basic retirement sum, or about $300,000. And after 2005, the government will raise the bar and raise the enhanced retirement sum, or ERS, into $400,000. Right? So you have to decide how much money you wish to keep in your CPF Life. It is between the ranges of these numbers that I have on the table to the left. All right? So that's the first question you want to ask yourself. The second question you want to ask yourself is, which plan do I choose for CPF Life? Right? There is the basic plan that puts only 10 to 20% of your funds into annuity premiums. It starts out with a lower payout, okay? And the payout even drops after the age of 95. But what you can do with this basic plan is that when you pass away, your beneficiaries will receive a higher payout. All right, will receive a higher payout. So for folks who want to leave money to their children, you can pick the basic plan. Next is the standard plan. And the standard plan basically has the ability to give you a steady payout for life, okay? But 100% of your premiums will be put into annuities. So if anything were to happen to you before the age of 76, where you get your break-even rate, okay, you're likely to, your beneficiaries will take out a lower amount of money. All right. Finally, there is the escalating plan. And this escalating plan is designed to provide a rising payout, and this payout grows by 2% every year. Okay, and the escalating plan, because it is fixed at 2%, it can mitigate the effects of inflation. But I like to remind the people listening to this slide that the escalating plan is unable to totally mitigate inflation, right? So when inflation is 3 to 4%, your growing payouts of 2% would not be able to match the amounts that's caused by inflation. Okay, so you have to pick a plan that suits you. For those who have very long-lived ancestors and parents who can live up to 95 years old or 100 years old, then by all means pick something like the escalating plan, right? For those who are single, you do not have children who's waiting for your money to pay them out, then perhaps a standard plan would also be a good idea. So which CPF Life plan? Okay, so the standard plan, as I've said before, all right, good for singles, people with no bequest motive, and breaks even at around 75 years old. Right? The basic plan is for folks who want to leave something for their family when they die, breaks even at around the same time. And finally, the escalating plan that can mitigate the effects of inflation. You might want to pick this plan if you have some advanced knowledge that you're going to live to a ripe old age. All right, so how do we use CPF Life to get retirement adequacy? Now, in order to understand what is retirement adequacy, we need to understand how much is enough for a 65-year-old today in Singapore. Now, according to the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, right, someone who is 65 years old today would require approximately $1,421 in the year 2021, right? If I were to adjust it to the present day through inflation of 3% every year, it would be approximately $1,560. All right, so $1,560 is the amount that you need for a 65-year-old to live a very standard or basic kind of lifestyle. Okay, now obviously, if I have a portfolio that lies outside CPF Life, I may not wish to insure the exact amount that I need. All right, so some people might say that, well, I think if you squeeze me hard enough, I can live on 80% of the basic expenses of a 65-year-old. So in that case, that number will then be reduced by 20%. Okay, and so what I've done is, in this table, for the payouts that are sufficient for 100% of this 65-year-old basic expenses, I have marked the cells in green. And for those who are looking for example, just 80% of what a 65-year-old needs, I've marked the cell in yellow. But it is fairly clear that if you are male and you are 65-year-old today, you need about $300,000 in your retirement account. In other words, it certainly makes a lot of sense for Singaporeans to try to get at least up to $300,000 or $310,000 into their CPF retirement account, right? Because that means that you can insure a very basic kind of existence for yourself at the age of 65, right? And you don't really want to put too much money in your CPF retirement account, because then you will have too much money in annuities, right? You would be over-insured, all right? So you need to balance out your need to insure your money versus a need to invest your money. Okay, so this is how I think CPF Life should work with somebody, for example, who has built up a fairly decent dividends portfolio. So you could build a dividends portfolio in the Singapore stock market that gives you around 5 to 7% every year, which is actually better than the CPF special account. Okay, but the problem is the dividends portfolio contains some amount of market risk, right? You could be looking at a drawdown if you were to purchase your stocks at a very bad time, right? Your portfolio could be down maybe 15 to 20%. So that's the price you need to pay to invest in stocks, right? But the CPF is the opposite, right? What it does is it provides a fixed monthly income, and but it's a fixed amount, right? It is a fixed amount, or it goes up by 2% every year. But what it does is that it can give you a floor for your spending, okay, but it won't be able to fight inflation very well, right? So if you combine this portfolio of dividend stocks with CPF Life together in a 70-30 ratio, right, it can be quite a decent plan, all right? So what I've done is I've illustrated the example where a person with $1 million in investable assets, right, he puts $700,000 in dividend stocks. That gives him $2,916 every month at 5% dividend yield. And he can put $300,000 into CPF Life. Under the standard plan, he gets $1,640 every month, all right? So what are you getting at the end of the day? You're getting $4,500 of passive income every month, more than enough for someone who's 65 years old. In fact, you can use this to support a family. You can use it to support your spouse, all right? And more importantly, if you get a really bad year where dividends are cut, you know, and your real estate investment trust don't do very well, it will always provide a floor of $1,640 every month, all right? So there's always a bare minimum that will allow you to sustain yourself across the month, okay? And at the end of the day, you also get some capital gains from your dividend stocks and a little bit of inflation fighting ability, all right? So this is how I think an ideal portfolio that employs CPF Life should look like. Okay, some additional pointers on CPF Life, all right? To cover your basic expenses, you need about $310,000 in $2,024 in your CPF retirement account to cover the basic cost of a 65-year-old, all right? Now, remember that it is extremely unwise to concentrate your net worth on CPF Life beyond what you minimally need, because in a sense, it heightens your mortality risk, right? Your beneficiaries may get less wealth when you die, all right? And they also get zero once you exhaust your annuity premiums, all right? So keep that in mind, okay? Now, financial experts recommend a rule of thumb allocating 20 to 40% into annuities, okay? And so you may want to limit your CPF Life retirement account to around 30% of your net worth and invest the rest. But remember that this is for wealthy people whose 30% is around $300,000, right? If you have less money than that, you might want to keep more money into the CPF retirement account to guarantee a certain amount of basic expenses, and that varies from individual to individual, all right? And do consider complementing your CPF Life payouts with other passive income sources like dividend stocks or real estate rental collections, okay? And finally, for those who are really bothered by how small the CPF life payouts are, you do have the option of postponing your CPF life payouts up to age 70, to which after that, the amount of money that you can get on a monthly basis can increase quite dramatically, and you can use the CPF life estimator to find out how much that is. All right, so with that, I have covered the latest updates to the Budget 2024 CPF announcements, and I've shown my students how to actually manage the CPF retirement account as well as CPF Life. That's all I have for you. Thank you very much.